I feel like everyone who wanted to this tag has done this tag already. I'm kind of late to the party. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming the Black Booktuber tag. I'm so excited to film. The creator of the tag is Reading Black, spelled B-L-K. I'll link the original video down below. I was tagged by Books with Brandy Shay, and I was also tagged by Books_Butterfly13. I was going to just tag whether or not I was tagged or not, so thank you guys for tagging me. And this tag is just so fun. It's basically a tag where you recommend books by Black authors with Black rep, own voices stories, and it's also a way to find more Black booktubers and to create a community on this platform, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. So let's get started with this tag. The first question is to tell us a little bit about yourself. My name is Chidima. Desiree is my middle name. I'm Nigerian. I'm 18 years old. I just graduated high school in May. No graduation or prom. Hooray for me. I'll be a freshman in college this fall. I'm really not that interesting. Oh, I was in a reading slump for 2 years, my junior and senior year of high school. I was in a reading slump. I think between those 2 years, I only read like one book in total. So during May is when I really started reading again. I read 22 books that month, and I just had to make this booktube channel because I had to share my love for reading again. I was just bursting with energy about reading. I was reading like a book a day, and I just had to share that with someone. So that's what drove me to make this channel finally. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. The next question is, who's a Black author that you love that a lot of people don't know about? This question I have to answer Dana L. Davis. I read her book Tiffany Sly Lives Here Now, and I really enjoyed it. It was a really interesting story. I'm always looking for young adult contemporary authors that I love and trust. I thought this book was really popular until I looked on Goodreads and I only saw like 1,000 ratings for this book. And this book came out in like 2017. I thought this book was really popular, but maybe I was just imagining that. But I feel like she deserves way more hype. Her characters are very complex. They're not just good, they're not just bad. But I really love her main character in this book, Tiffany Sly. Even when she made questionable decisions, I was still rooting for her. I really related to her. I rated this book a 4 out of 5 stars. It's basically about a girl who her mother just died from cancer. She basically moves to live with her dad that she has never met before in California. He's very rich. She doesn't know he has this whole family, and she's trying to like integrate her life with theirs and see if this is where she wants to be. But there's kind of a plot twist in this book. Another guy is saying that she might be her dad. So he's requesting a paternity test in 7 days. And it's court ordered, so she has to partake in it. She doesn't know which one is her dad. She never really knew her dad, so she doesn't know for sure which one's her dad. She doesn't want to tell her other dad that this other guy is claiming to be her dad. And it's really well done. I really enjoyed this book. I really recommend Dana L. Davis. I feel like she's very underrated. She has another book that I'm interested in, and that's The Voice in My Head by her, which also deals with cancer. It's about two twins, and one of them has cancer, and the other twin is kind of dealing with that. And yeah, I'm really interested in this book. She makes really short contemporary novels, and I love short young adult contemporary novels. I feel like the sweet spot for young adult contemporary is like 300 to 350 pages. I love those lengths in books. I just want to fly through young adult contemporaries, and I'm really excited. She has a new book coming out in 2021, I believe. I'm so excited for a new book. The next question is favorite book about the Black experience, and for this one I had to say The Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. I rated this book a 5 out of 5 stars. This was the one book I read during my 2-year reading slump. It's written in verse though, but I really love this book. I rated this book a 5 out of 5 stars. It's absolutely stunning and definitely my favorite Jason Reynolds book. It takes place with this boy who his older brother just recently died. He was shot and killed, and basically he lives in this culture where it's a cycle, and where like if someone kills your sibling, it's your job to seek revenge and avenge them by killing the person who killed them. So basically it takes place on the way down. He's on an elevator ride, and he has a gun in his pocket, and he's ready to shoot the person who he believes killed his brother. On the way down, he's visited by ghosts of the people close to him who has died, and he knows about this culture, trying to give him another perspective and see if it's really worth ruining his life to avenge his brother's life who's already dead. And it's so touching. It's such a wonderfully made story. Jason Reynolds can never disappoint me. He is one of my favorite authors of all time, and definitely one of my favorite Black authors of all time. His stories just get to you. I feel like no matter what it's about, it just gets to you and really touches you. This book talks about really important the cycle of killed or be killed and how it's such a harmful way of thinking and how it doesn't really solve anything at the end of it. And I think that's what the character in the story realizes. At the end of the day, your brother's still going to be dead. You can't bring him back by killing the person who killed him, you know? This book is so important. It has all these awards for a reason. Please read this book. It's so good. I read this in a reading slump, and I want to tell you, I still read it in like 2 hours. It was so amazingly done. Jason Reynolds really did the thing with this book. I know a lot of people love this book, but if you still haven't read this book, I'm telling you now, you need to. The next question is favorite book by a Black author. And for this one, I have to say Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. First of all, she's Nigerian American. I had to stand. Once I heard that, once I knew this was a West African inspired fantasy novel, I was ready here for it. And then I read this book and I 100% it exceeded my expectations, even though I expected to love it. I don't know how she did it, but she did it. This book is just so wonderfully made. Each perspective I really enjoyed reading from. It's set in Nigeria. This book is so amazing. I rated this book a 5 out of 5 stars, obviously. I feel like this book is really hyped up on BookTube. And this is one of the books that is actually deserving of all the hype, all the praise. It's so good. The cover is stunning, so it has that going for it. Such an amazing read. Adeyemi weaves the story about this girl finding herself and her powers and her strength and within herself, and that she's so much stronger than she thinks she is. I'm not even a fantasy girl. I am not a fantasy reader. Fantasy is definitely not my favorite genre. I don't hate fantasy. I just don't read fantasy. So when I tell you my favorite book by Black author is a fantasy novel, that's when you know you have to read this book. This book, everyone knows it, everyone talks about it, but I know there's still some people who are like, is it really worth the hype? But there's a 99.999% chance you're gonna love it as much as everyone else does. The next question is recommend a Black plus queer book. For this one, I have to say Felix Ever After by Kason Calendar. This book was so good. It takes place with this boy who's trans. His name is Felix, but he's kind of discovering more about himself throughout this book. The romance is so cute. I rated this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I was crying at the end of this book. It was just so sweet. I don't know, I think I was crying tears of joy. And I know a lot of people don't do that. I just love when a book can make me cry. I love when a book can get that emotion out of me. Words on a page can make tears run down my face. Isn't that insane when you think about it? This book is so amazing. I thought this book had more hype than it did, but only has 1,000 ratings on Goodreads. I feel like it deserves way more than that, even though I know it just came out a month ago, but still deserves so much more love. I love how Kason Calendar mentioned his dead name, and his dead name is really part of the story, but she never actually says what his dead name is. I feel like more authors need to learn from her. This was the first book I read that had a trans main character. I was just rooting for Felix throughout this whole book. For me to root for you, you don't need to be a perfect person. The way I know I like a main character is when even through the dumb decisions, I'm still rooting for you, I still love you, I'm still supporting you, and that's exactly how I felt about Felix. It deserves so much more hype than it's getting. I know it got a lot of hype when it came out, but again, deserves more. The next question is recommend a book with the Black person on the cover. And for this, I have to say The Voting Booth by Brandy Colbert. This book had just came out, but when I tell you, this book is stunning. Brandy Colbert is one of my favorite authors of all time. So read any of her books, to be honest, but I just read this book and I absolutely loved it. I received this arc from NetGalley. It's about two main characters, Marva and Duke. Marva and Duke meet in line to vote. They kind of run into a lot of problems when they're trying to get Duke to vote because it's just a lot of things going on. I thought the one day fall in love trope wasn't for me. But when I tell you somehow this book takes place in one day, but I felt the romance was still very fleshed out and very real. It didn't feel forced in the slightest. So natural. It wasn't forced or pushed in any way, and I feel like that's Brandy Colbert really did that, because I really thought I wasn't the insta-love type of person, but this book changed my mind. Insta-love, when done right, can be absolutely amazing, and Brandy Colbert 100% proved me wrong. I just really love both of the characters of Marva and Duke. Again, it takes place in one day, but each of the characters have an arc. Each of the characters grow, and I just absolutely loved it. Brandy Colbert weaves in very important topics with voter suppression, issues with the Black community, and just issues with society in America in general. Everyone needs to read this book. It talks about so much important topics, but you're still at the end of the day rooting for these two people to get together. And it was just amazing. It was so fluffy. I was crying at the end of this book. I know, so I feel like sometimes I cry in books just because I love it so much. The emotions just flow out of you with tears. I don't know. Am I weird? Brandy Cobert's writing is absolutely stunning. She makes you want to continue reading. I read this book so fast. Next question is recommend a book by Black author that makes you happy. For this one, I had to say The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. This book is everything you want in a romantic comedy book. It was so good. I found myself genuinely laughing at the comedy in this book. This book was amazing. It's based about a girl who gets left at the altar, and 3 years later, I believe, she is a wedding planner, which is like, girl, I don't know how you did it, because if I got left at the altar, the last thing you would see me doing is going to any wedding at all, let alone planning weddings for a living. Could never be me. So 3 years later, she meets the guy who left her at the altar and her brother in like a job interview. She's forced to work with the groom's brother on this job project. So it's kind of hate to love with her kind of falling in love with her ex-fiance's brother. The whole dating the brother of the groom that left you at the altar, I thought it would be really awkward. Again, the relationship felt very natural, and I could see how they both didn't want to be attracted to the other person, but they couldn't stop it, and they couldn't help it. I really love this book. This book was amazing. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. It was so funny, but at the same time, I really love the romance. It's the perfect romantic comedy. The next question is recommend some Black booktubers. I feel like I watch a lot of like mainstream? Okay, a lot of popular Black booktubers. These are the people who like inspired me to make my channel. Seeing people who look like me talking about books, I just felt like, oh, maybe I can do this, you know? Maybe it's not that hard to sit in front of a camera and talk about books, you know? I will have all of their channels linked down below. They're way more popular than me, so Mika, Mayana, Mina, Jocelyn, Jessica Nicole Dickerson, J&D, her name is a mouthful. Sincerely, Tahiri, Chanel Time, and also I'm recommending a smaller booktuber. We started our journey around the same time, and I feel like she's been really supportive to me, and her content is amazing. And that's Books and More, Kristen G. I love her. Please check her out. The next question is talk about a book by a Black author that's coming in 2020. For this question, I'm not going to talk about any of the books I talked about in my mid-year freakout tag. I'll have that link down below. I talked about so many books coming out in 2020 by Black authors. So if you want to see more books by Black authors that's coming in 2020 that I'm excited about, go check out that video. For this question, I'm going to answer Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. Tiffany D. Jackson has become one of my favorite authors. I've read all of her books so far. I've read Allegedly, Monday's Not Coming, and Let Me Hear a Rhyme. All those books have been 4 out of 5 star reads for me. Her books are stunning. I love how she weaves in very important topics into very young adult contemporary / mystery novels where you don't expect important topics like that to be talked about, but she somehow does it, and she does it very seamlessly. This book is basically about a girl who's an aspiring singer, but she wakes up with blood on her hand and she doesn't know what happened. My How to Get Away with Murder self was screaming when I heard what this book was about. So excited what she does with this book. I have a How to Get Away with Murder hole in my heart. I need that filled with whatever I can fill it with. I love books about people who are accused of murder and we're questioning if they did it or not. I love those kind of books. I trust Tiffany D. Jackson to do any plot well, so I'm 100% have faith that this book will be amazing. The next and final question of this tag is to tag some Black booktubers. I feel like everyone who wanted to this tag has done this tag already. I'm kind of late to the party, but if you haven't done this tag, if you want to do this tag, I'll tag you. I feel like everyone I watch has done this tag already. We reached the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more of these videos. Bye.